Spread the word of Islam.
Hijab. The Muslim identity, as it is required of the females, it is also required of the males. Allah said, tell the men to lower their gaze and protect their private parts. Then tell the women to lower their gaze and protect their private parts. So the command comes to both. Hijab is a two-way street. Two sides of the coin. One for men, one for women. When the Prophet ﷺ was asked about the brother-in-law, he said, Alhamul maut. The brother-in-law is death. Death meaning what? Danger to the family, can destroy your family. There was a case when I was in the Emirates of this Palestinian brother who went to the doctor to get checked for some problems he was having, which he thought, which was related to his sperm production. And the doctor informed him that he was unable to produce any sperm. And he said, but I have 3 children. He said, they're not yours. He was shocked. Couldn't believe it. So he tried to spy on his home to see if he'd leave home and stay around the corner and see if there was anybody coming to the house, etc. When he wasn't there, didn't find anybody. Anyway, he gave up the idea. He just sort of put it out of his mind, went on. Then one day he had to come home early. Came home early from work, came in the house, and went to his bedroom and started banging on the door. The bedroom door was locked. His wife was in there. He was banging on the door. Open the door. Why don't you open the door? Come out. She wouldn't answer. Bang, finally he broke down the door. And who did he find in there? His brother. He had a heart attack. He found his brother in there. That's the thing he hadn't counted on. He was thinking somebody outside. His brother was living in the house with him. He had his own room. But that's the consequence. And that's not just one case. There are many like that. So the hijab has to be maintained, and it's maintained for a reason. To protect the family. The hijab, we said, was also to protect the woman from harm in the society. It was for her to be known as a pious and a chaste woman. Well, that means that she must understand hijab. So when we raise our daughters, when they're very small, they will put on hijab like mother, imitating mother. But we must educate them to understand the hijab and to be shy. So we don't have them wearing hijab, which means khimar, and then the clothing that they wear underneath it are Western pants, tops, and things which are tight. Be careful. This clothing which is coming from the globalized Western market is a cultural expression of that society's immodesty. Because clothing from the Western perspective is to expose the privates. It's for attracting the opposite sex, and they train the kids with it. So be careful. Wearing a hijab, meaning a khimar, a scarf, but then the rest of the clothing is super tight on the body of the child, it's not good. They should be raised wearing loose clothing. So that's what they feel comfortable with. See, if you do it from they're very small, that's what they're comfortable with. So if somebody gives them a tight one, they put it on, they don't feel comfortable. And that's the way it should be. They should feel uncomfortable to wear tight clothing which is going to expose themselves. So one has to be conscious. The hijab is complete in the physical sense, in the emotional sense, psychological and spiritual sense. It should have an impact on all aspects of the society. And the hijab is not only for women. In closing, I want to remind the brothers that the hijab is not only for women. Because men, especially in these times, have become very lax, improper in their dress. They feel that if I wear a cap on my head, that's my Islamic expression. But what I dress with after that doesn't matter. I'm not saying that you have to wear a thobe, kandura garment like I'm wearing, but you have to look at your heritage. You have to look at your heritage. Here in India, Muslims of the past, go back 100 years, how did they dress? They wore shirts and pants, like garments, but the shirts were loose, long, and covered the area of their aura. That's how they dressed. When the colonials came and brought with them the Western dress which exposes private parts. Don't have any doubt about this. The Western pant. We have an Eastern pant, like the shalwar, or the pants of the Turks, baggy. The Libyans, crotches down by your ankles. That's how they wore. That's the sirwal that the Prophet ﷺ used to wear. A pant-like garment, but one which was so loose, it did not expose the aura. But Western pants, they are cut specifically to expose the aura. The aura of the man is between the navel and the knee. Covering that aura does not include wearing garments which could just as well have been sprayed on with a spray paint tin. As we wouldn't accept our women to go outside wearing spandex. You know spandex? Spandex is the full body suits that women in the West train in when they're exercising, whatever. But it's skin tight. It looks like somebody just took spray paint and sprayed on their body. You wouldn't accept your wife to wear a khimar and walk out with a spandex outfit. You said, oh, you're not covered. That's not covered. Just because I can't see your skin doesn't mean you're covered, because every nook and cranny of your body is exposed. So, similarly, for men, are they excused? So we don't have a double standard. This is what we're commonly accused of, having a double standard. We want our wives to toe the line, follow the law, dress as you're supposed to dress, but for us men, mashallah. It doesn't work like that. It's not fair, and it's wrong. It is haram. So, brothers, we have to consider hijab seriously. Not as a requirement we put on the women, but not on ourselves. No, hijab involves both the males and the females. As we said, Allah said, first when the hijab ayah came, He said, tell the men to lower their gaze and protect their private parts. Then tell the women to lower their gaze and protect their private parts. So the command comes to both. Hijab is a two-way street. Two sides of the coin. One for men, one for women. As there are requirements for the woman's dress, there are requirements for the men's dress. It may be greater in the case of women because more of their bodies represent attraction than that of men, so Allah has prescribed more for women, less for men. But still, there is a basic requirement for men. And I'd just like to close saying that one might think that this is a minor issue, clothing. However, on an international scale today, the clothing issue, specifically with regards to the women, has become a critical issue. This is saying that there is Islamic dress. There is a kind of dress which symbolizes Islam. It is a symbol and it has an obligatory aspect to it for both males and females. The Muslim identity, as it is required of the females, it is also required of the males. And the Prophet ﷺ had said, "Man tashabbaha biqawmin fahuwa minhum." Whoever imitates a people is of them. So if we choose to imitate in the way that we dress, the way we walk, the way we talk, etc., a particular people, then we may as well be one of them. The Muslim has an identity which should be preserved. And it's linked to his faith. It comes up in his dress or her dress. It comes up in the foods that they eat. It comes up in the family relations, how they organize family. It comes up in all aspects of life, how they do business. There is an Islamic way to conduct business, and there's a non-Islamic way. Because Islam is a way of life, a complete way of life. So, my brothers and sisters and our guests, I just stop at this point and give you an opportunity to ask whatever questions you would like to expand further on this topic, and we hope that the questions would remain on the topic. I'll just close re-emphasizing that hijab, the veiling of the Muslim woman, is a part and parcel of Islamic culture, as distinct from cultural Islam, where people have cultural practices that are really not a part of Islam. Islamic dress in its basic, according to its basic principles, is a part and parcel of the teachings of Islam, and something we cannot get away from. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ولله الأسماء الحسنى فادعوه بها
Al-Aziz, the Almighty. Al-Wadud, the All-Loving. At-Tawwab, the Acceptor of your return. Al-Razzaq, the Provider. Al-Raqib, the All-Watchful. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى. To Allah belongs the beautiful names. فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. So call Him upon them. To understand more of Allah's beautiful names, join me, your brother Majid Mahmoud, on my new series about understanding Allah's beautiful names on Peace TV.
Don't miss the chance to comprehend the seamless explanation of Allah's beautiful names in Understanding Allah's Beautiful Names. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. and repeat telecast at 12 p.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV.
How can humanity construct a just and stable economic system? Can Islamic banking provide answers? Explore with me, Riaz Ansari, the promise and the challenges of Islamic finance.
Learn the techniques to achieve success in the banking arena under the supervision of Islam in Islamic Finance with Riaz Ansari. Next on Peace TV.
Jazakallah khair, inshallah. Inshallah, there are a few rules which we want to go into for the question and answers to make sure everything goes in a clear and easy manner. We have 3 microphones placed in the open air ground, one in the front for the brothers. This will be mic number 1. One in the rear for the brothers. This will be mic number 2. And in the sister section in the front center, we have mic number 3. We ask that you all, when you come to the microphone, that you form a queue. That's one line. We ask that you not bunch up around the microphones. We ask that you ask one question and one question only, and that question, as Dr. Bilal stated, should be on the topic. If you write down a question, that question will take second priority. Written questions will take second priority. The microphones have the priority. These gatherings which we do, mashallah, are a wonderful time to clarify misconceptions about Islam for our non-Muslim guests. We prefer that the people at the microphones asking questions be non-Muslims, and we give them preference at the microphones. So if there is a non-Muslim in the audience, please make yourself known to one of the volunteers, which you'll find on the side aisles or in the middle aisles, and they will assist you in getting to the front of the line of the microphone. Again, the preference is given to the non-Muslims. We want to hear from you. And if there's a non-Muslim that's here in this audience tonight, and you're feeling, well, maybe I'm going to make a statement and people are going to become upset with me or angry with me. No. You are welcome to come up to the microphone to make your question brief. If you have a comment or a criticism even, you are welcome to come to the microphone and make that voice your concern, and you will get a response from our speaker, inshallah. So please, do not feel shy. And for you brothers who are there and you sisters who are out there, if you're sitting next to non-Muslims, encourage them to get up and to ask their questions. Okay? Encourage them, because really, we want to hear from them. We'll begin with the brother's microphone number 1, which is here in the front. Brother, could you please state your name and occupation, and then briefly state your question?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Rafiq, software professional. Question is regarding hijab for women. Is it mandatory to cover foot, hands, and face? What is the ruling on each? Foot, hands, and face. Hijab for women. Jazakallah khair.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. The question regarding what is obligatory on women to cover beyond the body, what is established, and there is no doubt about, is everything except for face and hands. Some scholars hold that covering the face is also an obligation, and they have their evidence and their argument for it. The majority hold that it is commendable, something which Allah will reward the woman who chooses to do so with the right intention. But that the basic requirement, the minimum, is everything except for face and hands. Now, when we say that, we also should clarify that when a woman wears an outer garment, that outer garment comes down and it covers the tops of her feet. That is sufficient. She's not required to wear socks after that, because that has sort of become now popular, where women are sort of insisting that women should wear socks. No. I mean, the wearing of socks for women is something fairly recent. Women in the time of the Prophet, they just wore a long garment which went down to the floor. If in the course of walking little bits and pieces of the feet show, then this is a part of the aura which will naturally show, which Allah addressed in Surah An-Nur when He said, إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا, after saying to the women, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتُهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. Tell the believing women to lower their gaze and protect their private parts, and not to expose of their beauty except what naturally appears from it. So what may happen without deliberately, as Allah also goes on to forbid them from stamping their feet if they're wearing some kind of jewelry, around their ankles, whatever, bangles of some sorts, that they may walk in such a way or shake their feet so that people would be attracted towards it. They're told not to do so. So what happens naturally, if a woman has put, for example, henna on her hands, that is a part of beauty, but it's not a requirement that she must now wear gloves because she put henna on her hands. Or if she is wearing a garment, outer garment, which has got a big sleeve, if she raises her hand and it falls back a bit and a piece of her wrist shows, again, this is not considered to be her exposing herself. This is something which happens in the natural movements. Now, what some women have done is that they've added a sort of thumb piece which holds their garment up, If you want to do that, okay. But don't make it a requirement for everybody. If you prefer to do that, that's good, it's fine, alhamdulillah. But don't make it a requirement for everybody.
Could you please state your name and your occupation, and then briefly state your question?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ramiz and I am an engineering student. I wanted to ask if I stare a girl who is not in hijab continuously, and after feeling guilty of that, After asking forgiveness from Allah, should I go and ask forgiveness from that girl also? Because I have committed a punishment which involves both the persons. And it's a rule for asking forgiveness that...
Okay, question is, a man commits a sin by oogling a woman. He asks forgiveness from Allah, realizing that he has done something sinful. Should he go and ask forgiveness from the woman? No, it's not required. It's not required. It's enough that he asks forgiveness from Allah. If he has taken her possessions, he took something which belongs to her, he asks forgiveness from Allah, he has to give it back to the woman and say, I'm sorry. Okay?